Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about speech act. Have you heard about speech act previously? The speech act theory was introduced by Oxford philosopher G.L. Austin in How to Do Things with Words and further developed by American philosopher G.R. Searle. Speech act simply means an utterance of sentence which aim to state the meaning of the speaker to the hearer. Speech act divided into three kinds: locutionary acts, illocutionary acts, and the last is perlocutionary acts. Locutionary is an utterance that contains true or literal meaning. Check this out.
Back then, the world was divided in two: vicious predator or meek prey.
Statements that made by Judy is example of locutionary act, which simply means that an utterance that stating something or the actual words. Second, illocutionary simply means that an utterance that contains certain meanings or intentions.
I'm gonna be an actuary.
And I can make the world a better place. I am going to be a police officer.
The word can here contain illocutionary or specific purposes, where Judy wants to convince her parents and friends that she can make the world a safe and a comfortable place where predators and prey can live together in harmony. The last is perlocutionary, an utterance delivered by the speaker to the listener with the intention of giving effect or doing something.
Give me your tickets right now. I'm gonna kick your meek little sheep butt.
Ow! Cut it out, Gideon!
Bad, bad. What are you gonna do, cry?
Hey! You heard her. Cut it out.
Nice costume, loser. What crazy world are you living in where you think a bunny could be a cop?
Kindly return my friend's tickets.
Come and get them. But watch out, 'cause I'm a fox.
Young Gideon Gray is the target of perlocutionary act by Judy, where Judy asks him to return her friend's ticket.
Hi everybody, welcome. Thanks for joining me. In this video, I'll be discussing the cooperative principle, which involves four maxims of conversation. They are the maxims of quantity, quality, relation, and manner. Let's get started. The cooperative principle was developed by philosopher H.P. Grice as a way to account for how speakers work together in conversations to achieve their communicative goals. Although these maxims are worded as prescriptive rules, they are intended as descriptive observations about how people cooperate in everyday conversations. We tend not to notice the cooperative principle unless one or more of these maxims has been violated or flouted, and we'll talk about the difference between violating and flouting a maxim shortly. Let's take a look at each of these maxims. First is the maxim of quantity, which states that in conversations, speakers make their contributions as informative as required. When this maxim is violated, speakers can provide too much information. Hey man, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Well, this morning I woke up and I just didn't feel so well. I think it's because last night I decided to have a Hot Pocket around midnight, and it was the ham and cheese variety, which I don't even like because I prefer the chicken and broccoli kind, and I didn't have those. I was hungry, so I said, whatever, I'm going to eat it.
2 hours later.
But then I threw up for like an hour and I felt much better. However, speakers can violate this maxim by providing too little information. So, you're interested in doing your dissertation on linguistic relativity, is that right? Yep. Well, as you may know, this is a pretty broad topic, so what do you want to focus on? Stuff. Next is the maxim of quality, which states that speakers provide truthful contributions to the conversation. Of course, speakers do lie, but they don't lie all the time, nor do their conversational partners expect them to lie. This maxim is unique because it best illustrates how a maxim can either be violated or flouted. So what's the difference between violating and flouting a maxim, you might ask? Well, violating a maxim is when the speaker is being deliberately uncooperative, say for the purpose of deception. Hey, Evan, I still haven't received that research paper from you. Did you finish it? Did you turn it in? Oh, yeah, totally. But, well, what? Well, my dog ate it. Whereas flouting a maxim occurs when a speaker only appears to be uncooperative, but in fact creates an implicature or a meaning that can only be inferred by the addressee. Sarcasm is a good example of flouting the maxim of quality. Hey, how's that linguistics class you're taking this semester? Oh, it's great. It's my favorite class ever. Next is the maxim of relation, which states that speakers provide relevant contributions to the conversation. How's your semester going? Not bad. I'm taking this linguistics class, and it's pretty cool. Oh, I took linguistics too. Who's your teacher?
My cat's breath smells like cat food.
Last is the maxim of manner. Now this has nothing to do with manners or politeness, strictly speaking, but states that speakers' contributions to a conversation should be clear, unambiguous, and should avoid obscure language. Hey, Mr. Ashworth, when did humans first develop technology? Well, the most significant development of early hominids was their engagement in lithic acquisitional events. It's important to note that the cooperative principle is not language universal. These maxims do not apply to every culture in the same way because each culture carries different expectations for how speakers should behave in different contexts.
This video is going to feature this wicked pragmatics thingy that people call implicature. Off we go. And as usual, we should start out with defining what we want to talk about. An implicature is an utterance which conveys meaning beyond its proposition. And there we have yet another word we have no clue about. A proposition refers to the semantic content of a sentence. Anyway, whenever we use an implicature, it's like we can draw a conclusion from what is said and therefore deduce more meaning than is actually encoded. Pretty neat, isn't it? Now, Paul Grice, the father, or should I say grandfather of pragmatics, subdivides implicature into two types, conversational and conventional. Conversational implicatures are special in that they employ the cooperative principle and the maxims of conversation. If you don't know what that is, there's a green button below. So logically, if conversational implicatures have to do with the cooperative principle, conventional implicatures do not. They actually try to make a point about a contrast, and very often you can be tipped off by words like but or yet. However, many people wouldn't go for a classification into conventional implicatures simply because, if we're honest, you can find maxims of conversation everywhere. Which is why I'm going to leave out these rudimental implicatures further on. On the next level we can subdivide as well. Specifically, conversational implicature can be subdivided into three types. The first one is the generalized conversational implicature. Generalized means it doesn't depend that much on the context. Even by definite articles or tenses, you can implicate certain things, like in the following sentence. The arsonist put a house on fire. If you don't know what an arsonist is, pause the video and look that up now. Done? Okay. So, this sentence features a generalized implicature simply by using the article a. The implication behind it is simply that it is not his own house the arsonist is burning down. It could be any house really, but not his. The next type is the particular conversational implicature, which this time strongly depends on the context to implicate correctly. Look at this dialogue. Do you want to go to the cinema tonight? My little sister's coming for a visit. On the surface, B's reply doesn't seem to be a relevant answer to A's question, which is why B just violated a maxim. However, what B wanted to implicate is that she wouldn't have time to go to the cinema because she's busy with performing shaman rituals with her sister, or so. So to use and point out the implicature, B flouts the maxim of relevance. Now why is this an example for a particular implicature? Well, simply because we wouldn't have a clue what B's utterance is about if we didn't have A's question. The last type is called scalar implicature. Whenever we use a word that expresses a degree, you automatically implicate that the thing you're talking about isn't of any higher degree. So here you have a scale going from none to all. And now have a look at the sentence. I had some buttered scones for tea. The word some is in the middle of our scale, meaning that you just had some, but not all buttered scones. because they're really high in fat and you really wouldn't want to eat them all. So this was it.
Politeness in linguistics. A short overview. We all know what it means to be polite. Politeness is a part of our social life, a principle of every interaction, and we encounter it every day, consciously or unconsciously. But what can we say about politeness from a linguistic point of view? In the 1980s, two linguists, Brown and Levinson, proposed a theory of politeness. To understand this theory, you first need to acquire the lingo. There are several important terms to remember. Let's start with the term face. Within politeness theory, the word face does not refer to your actual face, but to your public self-image that you have established for yourself and would like others to recognize. Think about it. What's your social self-image? What's your face? How do you want others to perceive you? Let's meet Tom. Tom loves to be part of a group. He wants to be liked. He wants to feel like he belongs. This desire motivates his social interactions. Within Brown and Levinson's politeness theory, we call this a positive face. But sometimes, Tom wants to be left alone and mind his own business. He values his independence, his freedom. He does not want to be told what to do, and he does not want to be imposed on, and no, he's not interested in small talk right now. This is what we would call a negative face. It's important to keep in mind here that Brown and Levinson do not use the terms positive and negative with their traditional meaning, but free from any judgment or evaluation. A negative face is not worse than a positive face, or vice versa. The next term to remember is face-threatening act. Tina didn't make it to class last time, but she knows that Tom's notes are impeccable. That's why she really wants to get her hands on Tom's notes. But her request might put Tom in some distress. He needs to make a decision. Will he share them or not? Will he want to be part of the group and be perceived by his positive face? Or might Tom feel imposed on by this question because it challenges his negative face? That's why Tina's request can be regarded as a potential face-threatening act. Here, two more terms come into play: positive politeness and negative politeness. Let's say Tina chooses a positive politeness strategy. She wants to appeal to Tom's positive face. She wants to make him feel appreciated and show him that he is a valued friend or group member. So, Tina chooses language that creates closeness.
Hey Tom, good to see you. I know your notes are always very detailed and careful. Please, help me out. That would be amazing.
Or Tina can choose a negative politeness strategy. She does not want Tom to feel imposed on, so she makes it easier for him to turn down the request. By using hedging and indirect language, she shows awareness for his negative face.
Hi Tom, I feel really bad for asking this. I know that you always put so much work into your notes, and I should have been on time for the last lecture. Would it be okay for you if I copied them? Just this once.
This strategy emphasizes Tom's freedom to say no. Now that we know all these terms, we are able to understand this chart that is a visual representation of Brown and Levinson's politeness theory. The arrow on the bottom shows the risk of face loss, and the right option in this decision tree is always the higher risk. Let's talk through it. Basically, you're always left with two options. Tina's first decision to make is whether to ask Tom in the first place. Maybe she decides not to do the FTA, the face-threatening act, at all. Then it's game over for Tina. But if she does decide to go ahead and do the FTA, she has two options again. Should she do it on record or off record? Off record means to formulate your FTA in a highly indirect way. For example, Tina could simply cross her arms and gaze longingly at Tom's notes and say something like,
I don't know what I will do. I missed class. I wish I had notes from someone who was here.
The advantage of this highly indirect speech act is that it minimizes the threat to Tom's face. It's easy for him to just not answer anything to this, in case he doesn't want to share his notes. But the downside is that Tom might not even understand what Tina is getting at. Maybe he's very willing to share, but did not perceive her speech act as a request. So, let's say Tina chooses to go on record, so making her request very clear. Again, she has two options. Should she use redressive actions or not? Let's say she chooses to go without redressive actions. This means that she does not pay any particular attention to Tom's face, neither his positive nor negative face. She just says something like,
I need your notes from last week.
This is a very direct way, and Tom now definitely knows what Tina wants. But on the downside, Tom is in a difficult situation, because Tina has made it very difficult for him to say no. So let's say Tina decides for redressive action. There is one more decision to take. Should she use a positive politeness strategy or a negative politeness strategy? Now, this decision, as all decisions really, depends a lot on the context of the situation. We don't know who Tom and Tina really are, whether they are good friends or they just met a few weeks ago, whether they know each other's desired public self-image or not. So, depending on their relationship, Tina might want to appeal to his positive face, so she uses a positive politeness strategy and says,
Hey Tom, good to see you. You always have the best notes. Please, help me out. That would be amazing.
Or Tina wants to appeal to his negative face, so she goes with a negative politeness strategy.
Hi Tom, I feel really bad asking this. I know that you always put so much work into your notes, and I should have been on time for the last lecture. Would it be okay for you if I copied them? Just this once.
Now you know your way around this decision tree. Which route do you normally choose? Most people tend to mix negative and positive politeness strategies. Can you think of an example from your own experience? This is Brown and Levinson's politeness theory in a nutshell. To sum up, we all have a certain public self-image that we expect other people to recognize. That's our face. In social interaction, this face might come under threat by others. And of course, the other way around, your speech act might pose a threat to someone else's public face. Therefore, you can use certain language to lessen the possible threat, which is called a face-saving act. Choosing your words and your speech acts plays an important role in realizing a politeness strategy. The politeness theory in linguistics therefore provides a framework of how language users minimize and mitigate face loss in communication.